The bushes rustled, the rain hammered down on Fred's face. "We need to find shelter," he said. "A big tree or a cave or something that would—" "No!" Max gave a sudden scream, a yell that was wet with spit and fear. Fred stepped backwards, raising his hands. "Don't cry. I just thought—" Then his eyes followed Max's pointing finger. There, 3 inches from Fred's shoe, was a snake. It was speckled brown and black, patchwork to match the jungle floor, and its head was as big as a fist. For 1 second, nobody breathed. The jungle waited. Then Max let out a second scream that dug deep into the night, and the 4 of them turned and fled. The ground was sudden, and they ran pell-mell, sending up mud into one another's eyes and grazing their elbows against trees. Fred ran as if his body were not his own, faster than he'd ever run, his palms stretched ahead of him. He tripped over a root, turned a full somersault, coming up, spitting earth. He ran on. The rain blinded him and shadows flashed past him in the darkness. There was a yell behind him. "Please, Max," said Lila. Fred turned back, skidding in the mud. "He won't run." Lila bent over her brother. "And I can't carry him." The little boy lay on his back, weeping up at the sky, his whole body shaking in the driving rain. "Come on!" Fred heaved Max over his shoulder. The boy was far heavier than he'd expected, and he screamed as Fred lifted him. But Fred grabbed both of Max's knees and started running, his whole body screaming with pain. He could hear Lila, her feet thumping close behind them. The stitch in Fred's side was almost unbearable when he tore out of the trees and into a sudden clearing. He halted, and Max bumped his head against Fred's spine and yelled. Angrily, he began trying to bite one of Fred's shoulder blades. "Please don't," said Fred, but he was barely paying attention to the boy on his back. He stared, stunned, ahead of him. They were standing at the edge of a wide circle of trees, open to the sky and lit by the fat moon. There was a carpet of green moss and grass, and the stars above them were clustered so thickly that the silver outnumbered the night. Fred lowered Max to the ground and stood bent over, his hands on his thighs, panting. "Did the snake chase us?" said Max. "No," gasped Con. "How do you know?" wailed Max. Lila dropped to her knees, clutching at her side. "Snakes don't, Maxie. We both know that. I just panicked," said Con. Her voice was bitter. "That's what happened. See? Look. No snakes. We were stupid. Now we're even more lost." The ground in the clearing sloped slightly towards a large puddle of water. Fred crossed over it, his muscles aching, and sniffed. It smelt of rotting things, but he was feverishly thirsty. He took a tiny sip and immediately spat it out. "No good," he said. "Tastes like a dead person's feet." "But I'm thirsty," said Max. Fred looked around the clearing, hoping to find water before Max started crying again. "If you wring out your hair," he said, "there'll be water in it." He tugged his dark fringe down over his forehead and twisted it. A few drops fell on his tongue. "It's better than nothing." Max chewed on his hair for a second, then scrunched his eyes closed. "I'm scared," he said. It was said without whining, a simple matter of fact. Somehow it was worse than the tears, Fred thought. "I know," Lila said softly. "We all are, Maxie." She crossed to her brother and pulled him close to her. His small bony fingers closed over a burn on her wrist, but she didn't brush him away. She began to whisper in his ear in Portuguese, something soft, almost a song, a lullaby. They were both shaking slightly. Fred swallowed. "All of this will look less bad in the morning," he said. Now, I'm going to leave you to read page 16 and 17 on your own. So if you just pause the video here and have a read of these 2 pages, and that will complete our today's reading for today. So pause the video and have a read, please. Okay, so we're going to go through how to retrieve information from a text. So this is the question that I have given you for a first question. What did Fred do to summon up spit? The first thing we need to do when we are retrieving information is do what we've done in class before and look at the key words. We know one of the key words is what and one of the key words is do. We know now that the word what is saying that we are looking for something, an object, a thing. The keyword do means that we are looking for an action, a verb. So we first know that that is something we are looking for. Some more keywords are summon up, spit. Now, those are all the keywords in the text, so what we need to do now is start reading the page. So we can see here that we can scan the page until we find the words summon up, spit. Here they are. And now what I need to do is scan forwards and backwards. So read the paragraph behind the text and in front of the text and see if there are any clues that would answer my question looking for an object or an action. So can you do that now, please, and see if you can answer the question, what did Fred do to summon up spit? Excellent. We know now that something he did was he jabbed his finger into the back of his tongue to summon up spit. Now, we know that's our answer, but we want to write in full sentences. So what my full sentence would look like is something like this. Fred jabbed his finger into the back of his tongue to summon up spit because his throat was too dry and he wanted to yell for help. So I've added an extra bit here using the word because. I've stated how I know that's what he did and why he did it, which is what I want you to do today. Some of the questions won't be giving you reasons why or because. So if there's not always that, don't worry. But what I want you to do is focus on the keywords today, look for the keywords and practice scanning before and after those keywords, and that will help you to retrieve information from a text. So I'm going to ask you today to use the pages 12 to 15 to answer the following retrieval questions. I've included the exact pages that you need to use on your resources document, so that's all there for you. I would like you to answer the questions in full sentences, please, and then email in your response to the office. Have a great afternoon. Bye, Year 4.